who is more over in their day, Bruno Sammartino or Hulk Hogan?
Well, it was a different era.
Yeah.
Bruno didn't have the big TV going on that Vince created later on. You know, Vince created that mega type of TV exposure in the late 70s, early 80s. I'm mostly in the early 80s. And Bruno had already finished up his career. But I'll tell you one thing, for what Bruno had to work with back in the old promotion is what we all worked with, which wasn't much. And he sold out everywhere. Madison Square Garden, for instance, of course, you have 20 million people that live back there, but it's still not easy to sell out the Garden because there's so much other shit going on. So Bruno sold that thing out 135 times straight. I mean, that's a lot of years.
Yeah.
That's like 10, 12 years straight sellout. I sold the place out 3 times in a row with him. As a matter of fact, we set an all-time attendance record in the Garden on our 3rd go around. And that would have been in 77.
Right.
Yeah, 77. And I worked with Bruno 3 times in Madison Square Garden, the Boston Garden, Igloo over in Pittsburgh, Baltimore, all the major arenas, which there are a lot of them. So, but on the 3rd go around in Madison Square Garden with Bruno, we sold out the upstairs, and there was a place down below called the Felt Forum.
Right.
It all sat 3,000 people. Well, we sold the upstairs out, and we had 20,000, and they only sat 18,500, I think, for wrestling. So they had an extra 1,500 people in there. Then down below, they were only supposed to put 3,000, and they put 4,000 in. And boy, they got in big trouble for that from the fire marshal. They were going to shut the place down, not let us go on in the beginning. And I think Vince's dad paid the fire marshal off. But so we had over 24,000 people in that. And Vince's dad says, well, that record will never be broke. And he explained to me how it all came about. I said, yeah, I guess so. You know, if the fire marshal doesn't let the people in, they don't get in. So Bruno and I set that attendance record, 24,094, 96 people, something like that. And
how'd you like working with Bruno?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. He was good. You know, he was always kind of afraid that somebody was going to drop him on his head again, right, like Stan Hansen accidentally did. And that happened just before I came in. And so, but yeah, Bruno knew who I was, knew my whole background. He knew I went to Brigham Young University and through the shot put that I was world ranked. He knew I won 4 gold medals in the Pan American Games. He knew I went to the Olympic Games. He knew I was the first guy to ever clean and jerk 500 pounds overhead. That I held all the records for Olympic lifting. And because he was an Olympic lifter, power lifter when he was younger. So he used to follow that stuff. And so he knew my whole history. I said, wow, I was impressed. And he says, yeah, I go over to York, Pennsylvania once in a while, and the guys over there always brag about you because I competed for the York Barbell Club. Although I was living out in Portland, Oregon. But anyway, yeah, so it was it worked out good. I liked working with him. He loved working with me. I took care of him, never hurt him. And then after we were both out of wrestling, I used to call him 2-3 times a year, and he called me a couple times a year. Yeah, so we remained friends, all those years. Yeah.